All right, welcome back, everybody. You are watching Drumsmack here on T Radio V. We are at the mothership for Aquarian Drumheads, and of course, we're with the great Roy Burns, and he's going to talk to us about his recent award, that Lifetime Achievement Award that he received at the NAMM show this past year, along with many other things. So, without further ado, please welcome to Drumsmack, Mr. Roy Burns. How are you, Roy?
I'm doing pretty good. Not too bad for my age.
Well, first, I want to say, thank you very much for taking the time to talk with us. And we're really excited to have you on the show. And I have a bazillion questions, so we'll just go ahead and start. You were recently given an award for Lifetime Achievement. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
NAMM has an award called Believe in Music. And I was given the award for contributions to the industry and various activities. And I got a nice plaque and a nice photo. It was very nice.
Oh, very nice. So your contributions, let's talk a little bit about that. Your contributions to the industry. You're a performer, an educator, you are an author, and you're also very successful in the music business. So it sounds like you pretty much covered all the different bases for contributions to all things music. And
I used to write a column for Modern Drummer called Concepts for 12 years.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I was actually doing a little, read one of your articles on the way down today. Really, really fantastic stuff. You did that between in like 80s to when was the period that you wrote for Modern Drummer?
Well, starting in about 1979, and I did it for 12 years. So whatever that adds up to.
Okay. Do the math, everybody. All right. So tell us a little. Okay, we're at the mothership for Aquarian, a company that you founded. You had two friends that helped start the company. Aquarian Accessories started in 1980.
Right.
And then it became Aquarian Drumheads in 1989. So tell us, for people who know or maybe who don't know the history behind Aquarian, why don't you fill us in?
Well, I was working for Rogers Drums, which is owned by CBS, doing clinics, and a lot of people didn't know that I was involved in the research and development, sales programs. I wrote the Peisty catalog, the Rogers catalog, a lot of things like that weren't visible to the public. They just thought I did clinics. So one day, the engineers called me into a meeting and said, we're going to change the bearings in the Rogers foot pedal, which was considered to be the best pedal ever developed up to that point. I said, well, what are you going to do? He said, we're going to put nylon bearings in it instead of needle bearings. I said, why are you making that change? He said, well, it's going to save money. I said, won't it feel different? He said, no, you won't be able to tell a difference, Roy. So you could take the old pedal with the needle bearings, bring the beater back, and let it go. It go 10 times without stopping on its own. It was that smooth. Wow. They brought the one in with the nylon bearings. I pulled the beater back and let go, and it stayed there. It didn't move once. I said, this is beautiful. We started getting stuff back by the truckload of broken pedals, dissatisfied customers. And these guys never got any trouble. No one ever called them on the carpet. Nobody ever said the engineers really goofed. They're way beyond their responsibilities and so forth. So I went home and I told my wife, I said, I think I want to start my own business. And she said, you must be crazy. I said, well, maybe so, but I can't be any dumber than the guys that are ruining Rogers drums. They're just making one stupid mistake after another. Well, in the meantime, I'd come over to this building to meet with Ron Marquez, who became my business partner. He was doing powder coating for Rogers drums and Fender guitars and amplifiers.
Okay.
And we decided, or they wanted to know if they could replace chrome with powder coating. They decided not to do it. But Ron and I became friends. So he called me one day and he said, I'm not getting any more work out of CBS. What's going on? I said, Ron, this place is going south. I'm going to quit. I'm not going to go down with the ship. He says, come over and see me. I got some ideas. So we kicked it around and we started a company called Aquarian Accessories. Because his original company was called Aquarian Coatings Corporation. Because Ron's an Aquarius.
Yeah, okay.
Well, my good mentor and friend in New York City was an Aquarius who was killed in a plane crash. And I always had an affection for the name, so I said, well, why don't we call this new company Aquarian Accessories? At least when we answer the phone, we'll say Aquarian because we had two companies here. That's how it started.
Wow. All right.
I decided that in order to have a good company, you must have a musician in a position of power. He doesn't have to run the whole show or make every decision, but he has to have influence. There has to be somebody who's going to protect the product. And that's what we didn't have at CBS. They had no respect for drummers. They had no respect for me. You know, they would take advantage of the clinics I did, the sales. But if it came to a question about a product, they treated us like we were nothing. Well, I decided if you don't have a drummer in a drum head or a drum company or a drum accessory company who has some influence, not the total say, but some influence, the product's going to suffer. And that's where we developed the concept, which I've used for years, is our job is not to sell stuff. Our job is to help drummers play music. That's the underlying basis of this company. And I adhere to that to this day, and it's served us very well.
Give drummers the tools that they need to be successful.
Correct. Yeah.
And then, so after Aquarian Accessories, you in 1989 started the Aquarian Drumheads.
Right. Well, I kept getting requests from friends of mine. They said, "Why don't you make drum heads?"
Really?
I said, "I don't know."
What did the wife say when you told her that?
Well, she would be pretty much given up by that time.
She's like, "Okay, do what you want."
She's been a great supporter, no doubt about that. But anyway, we said, well, if we're going to make drum heads, we have to do something different than people have done so far. Because we're the little guys, we're the new guys on the block. We didn't have as much money as the big companies. So we decided to take a calf head and use it as a model to design a plastic head. So you can't put a corner in a skin. Like you get a conga skin, it's just flat.
Yeah.
Well, so there was no collar in the calf drum head. So what we did was to approximate that, was we made a round collar, so wherever the bearing edge hit, that would form the collar into the head. So your drum formed the collar, rather than trying to get a collar that would be universal. Because it is going to fit every drum. Well, a calf drum head was so flexible, it would just adjust to any drum you put it on. So tuning was never a problem. So that's how we came up with the sound curve collar design. So it's a natural curve, so where the bearing edge hits, that forms the collar. That eliminated 90% of the tuning problems.
Just like that.
Yeah.
Now, Evans, one of the other drumhead manufacturers, they just came out with Level 360, which is kind of the same kind of concept, but you started that concept. Is it? Oh, is it not?
It's entirely different. They have a preformed collar.
Okay. Is it preformed?
I'm not going to comment on it.
Okay. All right.
But it's a preformed collar. It's in the head.
Okay.
Ours has no collar. It's just a curve.
So the drum, it'll
the collar is formed by the drum you put it on. No one else has that. So it's a custom fit for any drum you make. No one else can say that.
And we're going to take a quick break, send it back to Hollywood, and we'll be right back. More with Roy Burns. You're watching Drumsmack TV on T Radio B.